Welcome to another edition of Lab Rats. My name is Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
And today on the show, I just got back from a fabulous trip to France and England.
Lucky you.
God save the Queen. And
how do you do that in French?
I don't know. What's the French national anthem? I don't know. Jean de pays, do 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 do. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, France was great, England wasn't. But anyway, that's the matter. Good food, lovely women, England, cloudy skies.
Why am I sensing our viewership just went down?
No, I'm English. I'm allowed to say that.
Okay.
Anyway, so, but one of the challenges I had when I was in Europe was the idea of technology. Of course, everything's backwards over there, or everything's backwards over here, depending on which way you look at it. Because if you're in England or Sweden or overseas, and then North America is completely a bunch of fools. So today I thought we'd go through some of the technology I used and how I got it to work in Europe. And we'll talk about, if you're not here, how it'll work when you come here. So
okay.
It's universal, okay? But first, a message from our sponsors. So anyway, one of my biggest challenges, of course, going overseas was the idea of staying in touch. You know, there was a million things going on. There's lab rats at sidewalker.com. There's all my books and everything like that. So I really wanted to make sure that I was in at least voice contact with everybody back home.
Yes.
And so I carried my cell phone. Now, the North Americans, they assume that, you know, North American technology works everywhere. And that's not the case, especially in the world of cell phones. In fact, they're so far ahead of us in Europe and Japan and elsewhere that it's actually... And Mexico, yeah, thanks Maurice, our associate producer. Mexico! But anyway, outside of Canada and the US, they're so far ahead of us, it's amazing. Mm-hmm. So, I thought I'd cover off the two kinds of cellular phone technologies available in the world today, and talk a bit about how it meshes together.
Well, there's more than two technologies, but two main camps. And I guess
two main camps, yeah.
CDMA and GPRS.
CDMA and GSM, yeah. So CDMA is Code Division Multiple Access, and it's a technology pioneered by Qualcomm years ago. And so it's a very dominant technology here in North America, and also actually Japan, as it turns out, and South Korea.
Right.
But in the rest of the world, Europe, actually, all the European nations got together and said, listen, we need a standard mobile technology around the same time, and they created something called GSM, or
Global System for Mobile.
There you go, global system for mobile, very good. Round of applause for Sean. A little brain freeze for me on that point. But and so what's ended up happening here in North America, we actually have two. So depending on which network you subscribe to in Canada or the US, you could have either GSM technology or CDMA. In the rest of the world, in Asia, in Australia, in Europe, they all pretty much standardize on GSM, which is wonderful because of course you can roam across pretty much most of the world and carry your cell phone and still receive telephone calls.
With one little caveat, which yes. We'll get to if you don't get to.
Okay. So one of the things, but of course GSM is a complicated technology. The GSM is not just one standard. Unfortunately, it's a series of frequencies, and depending on where you are, will depend on. That's what he's going to say. So basically, there is actually 5 frequencies in the world that GSM potentially can work on, and actually 4 in use today for the most part. There's GSM 400, which is kind of obsolete, GSM 850, GSM 900, GSM 1800, and GSM 1900.
And that's megahertz, I believe, right?
That's megahertz, right?
Yes.
Correct. So as you can see now, so here's the problem. If my phone only works on 850 and 1900, and I roam to a place like, let's say, Australia, which uses 900 and 1800, I think it is, then my phone's just not going to work. I have a GSM phone, I'm thinking this is going to work, but if my phone doesn't support those bands, then I'm in trouble. Now, what you can do, if you're actually a mobile traveler worldwide, and you know you're going to want to travel across different GSM technologies and that sort of thing, what you're going to want is to get what is called a quad band phone. So I have here the Motorola Razr V3. And what do you have in your pocket?
I've got the Palm Trio, and I believe this is quad band as well.
Quad band too, which means that no matter where you go in the world, most GSM, well, all GSM technologies will actually be picked up by these phones. But you have to be careful, especially if you're one of those people that says, listen, I'm going to only pay $99 for my GSM phone. and suddenly you find yourself you've got a dual band phone. It only works in North America. It works on 850 and 1900. Well, you're going to go overseas, and wait a second, it's not going to work. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind. And the way to find that out is to actually go to the website, to the specs on your phone, and look it up and say, what does it cover? Now, of course, that's not the end of the story. Let's say you figure all that out. Let's say you're on a GSM network, like in Canada it's Rogers, in the US it's Singular. AT&T Wireless used to be, I guess, or it used to be that brand. I think Singular bought them and that sort of thing. But Verizon, for example, CDMA, and I can't think of the other ones off the top of my head. Sprint is
CDMA. GSM, I think.
No, CDMA. CDMA, yeah.
Yeah, this is why it's confusing.
This is confusing, right? So, but it doesn't stop there. So let's say you have a quad band phone, you're on GSM, and you're going to go to Europe or wherever you choose to roam to. Well, then you have to make sure that you can actually plug the thing in. So, you typically will have a power adapter, and it plugs in like so. And so now here you're a dumb Canadian. You're going to go, I'm going to go plug this in France.
I'm a dumb Canadian.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work because, of course, the electrical outlets have not been standardized around the world, right?
That's correct.
That's right. So what do you do, Sean?
Well, you get one.
I don't want to leave you out of this conversation. I'm sitting here like delivering to camera, telling you everything I've learned in my trip to Europe.
I didn't go to Europe. I don't know. I don't know the answers to any of this stuff.
No, I know, but you're
actually, I do know the answer.
expert.
I've looked at power before, and yes, there are definitely differences. I went to Japan actually a while ago, and the nice thing about that is the power is almost identical. The voltage is different. It's 100 volts instead of 110, and the plugs are exactly the same. So if you have something that you want to charge up, it will charge. It'll just do it a bit more slowly than it would here in North America.
But what happens when you go to Europe?
But when you go to Europe, you need an adapter. To actually make it happen. Now,
you need two things, actually, don't you?
Possibly two things, possibly one. So a lot of these devices right here, they will have a voltage range that are listed on here.
Yeah.
So if it will actually support 100 through 230, you've generally got the whole world covered in terms of the range of voltages.
Come here, Mo, so we can see if we can actually pick this up. It's it's usually in tiny, tiny type. We can see if we can get that there. Can you see that? It says input 100 to 240 volts.
Right, so that will actually cover off the entirety of the world in terms of the variety of voltages.
Right.
So that will take that, and all you need to do is convert it to the right size of plug.
Yeah.
Right? And if you have one that's only one, so say you've got a hairdryer, for example, that only comes with one power setting, then you actually need to get a voltage converter as well.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting was when I actually stayed in the south of England, I stayed in a converted barn, right? And in the bathroom, there was actually two sockets. One was 110, the other one was, I guess, 220, 240, whatever it was for England. So, obviously, in that particular case, your hairdryer would have been fine if you had the converter for the plug. But look at these guys. This is what's it called? A Kensington, what is it? Travel adapter?
Travel plug adapter.
Travel plug adapter.
I love that one.
This is great. This is the one I kind of primarily use because I went to France first, of course, which is this oddball here. And then when I left France, got rid of that, and I opened up the English one. Ooh, push the button. And see, a slightly different adapter on there. Now, of course, there's fun, huh? What is it in Mexico?
It's normal like here.
Is what?
Normal.
It's like here.
It's like here, is it?
Yeah,
Same?
normal for North America.
North America. There you go, okay. So that was, there's a whole bunch of other ones here. Let's see. Oh, that's North America, right? Right there.
Yeah. So essentially, it changes the end tips. I think that's Australia.
Is that Australia?
I believe that's Australia. And this one right here does the same sort of thing. I realize that this one doesn't have the connectors you need for England, but it does have this. And this one was kind of neat because you can actually just twist the plugs in like this to get Australia.
Oh, cool! That's how that works. Because I actually took that one with me to France. No, France worked because it was dual tips, but in England, for some reason, it wouldn't work because, of course, England has two of these wide guys and then a middle one.
Say this is from M Fuel, and this was actually included as a bonus in another product, so I don't think it was meant to be the be-all and end-all, but I think you're supposed to use this tip here to make it into
all that work. Yeah. No, I fiddled and fiddled. I couldn't make it work, so I mean, maybe I'm just dumb. I don't know.
Right.
Okay, so. Everybody's laughing. It's not fair, is it? Finally, I want to talk to you a little bit about money, right? Because money is a big issue in the sense that when you go roaming across the world, when you go outside of your home territory, you're looking at paying huge dollars. What I discovered here, when I left here, I'm on the Rogers network here in Canada, and so I actually went to Rogers.com and checked out there. They actually have this really cool converter that actually tells you, you're going to be traveling here to. See if I can get this. I'm not sure if this is working or not. There we go, record.
Starting recording now.
All right. So what I did was I went to this website, and they actually have a pull-down menu, as you can see right here, that has all the countries in the world except Canada, of course, because this assumes that we are in Canada. And when you choose, let's go to somewhere like, let's go to England, United Kingdom. And it will actually show you the roaming rates. So what it shows here is, if you're going to call, in England, you're going to call back to Canada or the US, it's $2 Canadian per minute of calling. Now, if you receive a call from Canada or anywhere in the world, it's going to cost you $2 a minute. And then if you call locally in the country, it's $1 a minute. So my phone bill is going to be worth more than Sean's, Hawaiian shirt here, which is
How can that be?
So anyway, be aware that for every minute you talk on your phone overseas, you're running into problems. Now, one other final tip before we actually wrap this up today is I wanted to show you here, and I'm going to need Mo to come over again. On the phone, what you should do is actually check to see if the different providers charge different amounts of roaming rates. So as I said here, it lists BT, Cellnet, Orange, T-Mobile UK, and Vodafone UK, all different providers. And they all charge the same roaming rates, but some countries actually give you a deal. And I noticed in Heathrow Airport in London that there was a big ad that says if you're roaming here from overseas, that switch to our network, we've got some special deals. Check it out on our site and that sort of thing. So I want to show you have to change the network, and you can actually browse the network on your phone and actually choose which one you're going to use. So if you follow this, so I'm going to go to Messages here, and I'm going to go all the way down to my settings. And then again, this is usually always pretty deep inside the phone. I'm going to go down, down, down to Phone. And then again, how many clicks is that so far? 4, 5, 6. And let's see, Operator Selection. I'm going to choose Manual. And it's going to search now and just find the Rogers network because it's the only one available right now here in Canada. But if I was in the UK, it would give me 4 or 5. And I could actually choose the network that ultimately, I could pick. So if there's a cheaper network, I can actually choose that.
There's actually other reasons that you want to do that too. In the States, I found driving around New York City in a cab, I was trying to keep a connection once, and it just kept handing off to whichever tower was nearest, which meant I kept losing the connection over and over again. I was trying to surf at the time on, I believe I was using a notebook computer, but it was just impossible to keep that connection.
Right.
So you switch to one network and one network only,
right.
And then it'll just hand off from one network to the other.
Yeah,
one tower to the other on the same network.
On the same network.
On the same network.
Because on most phones, it actually has an automatic and a manual setting, right? So if you go automatic, it's going to switch to whatever the signal's strongest or whatever. So this is a good point. And finally, I just wanted to say that Wi-Fi has come to Europe. A few years ago, I was in France and England, and actually, no, this is 10 years ago now. And I went back a couple of years ago for a Nokia event. And there didn't seem to be any broadband or Wi-Fi available, even though it was prevalent here in North America. Now, so if you're a North American and you're going to Europe, know that you can get connected at a high speed with your wireless Wi-Fi.
Hotspots galore.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. In pretty much everywhere, so that's great.
You helped me set up mine when I was there.
Did I? Yeah, I did.
Remember in Christmas I called you back.
That's right, yeah, which probably cost you $2 a minute.
Pretty much. Not worth it.
All right, there you go. Well, I guess, any final thoughts before we go to our sponsor's message?
I actually do have a tip for you.
Yes.
With GSM phones, one of the beauties, if you're traveling with your CDMA phone, you don't have any choice in this matter. When you're going overseas, you're basically locked into your own cell plan. But when you have a GSM phone, you actually have, actually it's not here, but usually it's under the battery. In a lot of cases, here, we have this little SIM card that will come out. And I don't know whether Mo's getting that. So same thing under there. There's a SIM card in there. If you're using a GSM network and you're traveling overseas and you're going to be there for quite some time, you might have the option of actually just pulling out your SIM card, getting a local pay and talk card, and just using that for your trip.
Yeah,
so,
my dad actually considered doing that in England. He weighed the math, and the end it was he was going to be there so long it wasn't worthwhile. But you're right. Yeah, just go pay-as-you-go kind of thing, and then choose your phone. Of course, you end up losing your telephone number. That's the only problem.
Lose the telephone number, but if that's not so important,
because
and you just want to call
only.
people around, then you're fine.
That's right. Well, let's take a look at a message from our second sponsor, and then we'll be right back for final thoughts.
It's Camtasia Studio, the fabulous screencast software from TechSmith. Record what's on your screen, narrate it, and share it online. Create demos, screencasts, training, and more. And rest assured, Camtasia Studio is made by wholesome programmers in Okemos, Michigan, the home of the hardiest geeks around.
Quick to learn, easy to use, it's Camtasia Studio.
Download your free trial and start screencasting today.
Well, you know, the fun continues because during a break we were talking to Maurice again. He was saying that when he received a voicemail, they actually charge him roaming charges for a person to leave.
This is when he was in Mexico.
When he was in Mexico,
And the phone was
yeah.
on.
And
The phone was
I
on.
didn't answer it or anything.
So he just ignored it because he was making a text message and he got charged. Oh, you know what? I'm living in fear because I got a bunch of voicemail. Well, oh great, nice.
Well, if this is the last episode we do, because Andy went bankrupt, now you know what happened.
That's right. I'll completely lose my house.
Time to write another book.
That's right. Speaking of which, actually, I know I've said that I'm not going to pitch my books like crazy because it drives some
we
people
put
crazy.
that monster back into the cage.
But I just wanted to say one thing, and that is that I got a deal to write a second edition of the Absolute Beginner's Guide to Security, Spam, Spyware, and Viruses, which will be out next year, including all the Vista security tips. So, just a little plug there.
But Andy, I thought Vista was going to be the most secure operating system in the history of time.
I think it's going to be the most annoying operating system in the world from a security perspective. But we'll see. We'll have to do an episode on that in future.
All right.
That's it. Final closing thoughts. Don't forget, of course, we like feedback at feedback@labrats.tv. Have you been hanging out on the forums lately?
I've gone and checked it out every so often.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the forums have moved over to forums.cyberwalker.com to share with cyberwalker.com's gang over there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it, I guess. Oh, actually, you know what? We're also going to, don't forget, you're running out of time to enter our contest to win a ViewSonic monitor. So zip on over to labrats.tv.
I think this is your last week.
It is. You're probably last week. So there you go. Anyway, that's it for us. My name is Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
And we'll see you next time.
Are you ready? Try this at home.
Get over there. Get over there. Get over there. Get over there.
I'm over here.
Over there. Over there.
This is where I'm gonna stand.
Talking to Cyber.
Hey, Cyber, what you gonna show me today?
Actually, the way you're framed right now, it looks like you're talking to the cartoon Cyber.
Hey, Cyber, what you gonna show me today?
I'm gonna show you nothing intelligent because I've got nothing intelligent to say. I'm just gonna sit here and flap my mouth while you make my lips move. That's all.